Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted to up your game, supercharge your career, or simply find help when the going gets tough, then do we have the show for you. Today we'll be talking with a queen of connections and the Nexus of Networking and Marketing. Her name is Jill Lublin, and she's the world's leading authority, or one of the world's leading authorities on networking, and the best-selling author of 3 books on the subject: Get Noticed, Get Referrals, Guerrilla Publicity, considered the Bible of PR, and even taught in colleges, and Networking Magic, which we'll be talking about today. She gives over 200 talks a year on networking, has shared the stage with Tony Robbins, T.R. Vecker, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, and many, many more. They say it's not what you know, but who you know, or even who knows you. So today we'll be talking about getting social, connecting with others, helping others, and building a network that can be your net, your springboard, and even your golden parachute. In short, we'll look at how you can improve your connections with others to help you take your life and happiness to an entirely new level. So welcome to the show, Jill. Are you ready to shine?
Of course, I'm already shining.
Woohoo! You absolutely are. So I was excited. I read your bio. I read 2 of your books for this interview. And actually,
Wow.
what grabbed my attention most was your TV show, Messages of Hope. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, thank you. So I had an accident. I actually fell and fractured both ankles in multiple places.
Oh, no.
And I ended up in a wheelchair for 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, you can imagine everything was impacted. I asked God, what this was about. And one of the things that I've always been dedicated to is positive media and inspiring stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up doing a TV show once I could think and walk called Messages of Hope, where I, like you, interview inspiring and wonderful people who have great stories to share. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories and some incredible authors that you might have heard of thrown in. So it's been a wonderful experience and taught me so much, like the woman with no arms and legs. And I'm thinking, hey, any day I have, it's a good day, right? I mean, can you imagine just all the things she's dealing with just because of that? So my point was to do, it's a local show. It's on my local cable. And, it's interesting because one of the authors I interviewed ended up getting, I was doing a search on Roku and YouTube just to take a look at Messages of Hope. Well, I found out, this was so interesting, this is how publicity works, right? That things keep spreading because you do your joy and you do what creates joy for you and also helps others. And I found out that one of the TV shows I did has 19,210 hits and downloads on Roku and on YouTube. And I'm like, that is so cool.
Woo!
Yeah. So isn't that interesting? I mean, that's great PR. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is a local cable show.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to realize how powerful what I call being a celebrity in your own backyard is. Do things locally so that people know your name. Start getting your name out there, whether it's local or national. It doesn't really matter. What happens is you start creating name recognition. So that show got born out of a bad incident, a tough incident for me. Nothing really bad, but certainly a tough incident, and created something that really was a next step for me.
What did those 5 months, because I've spent more than my share of time on what I call the couch, or getting to know the couch. What did that 5 months do for you? Was there any sort of shift or understanding that you got?
Well, a couple things. One is I must admit, and I think probably some people watching might feel the same thing. Mm-hmm. Are you a bit of a lone ranger? And I was a bit of a lone ranger. I mean, I was successful, had some books under my belt, running around the world speaking, which I love and I still do, and talk to all kinds of groups. Well, guess what? All of a sudden, I was stopped in my tracks, and literally. And I like to ask God when these things happen, what is this about? Mm-hmm. And I do feel that I needed to stop. I needed to reassess. I needed to relook and reevaluate and reprioritize. I needed to take a look at what was important to me. So positive media is important to me. Inspiring messages is important to me. I got really clear that I'm a messenger of messengers. Like that really came in clear to me during that time. I also learned to stop and slow down. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll tell you something. Self-care is much more important to me. Taking a nap in the middle of the day if I need to is important to me. Taking care of myself. I don't tend to push through things like I used to. And I think that's healthy. You know, I think in this culture, particularly the U.S., not so much other countries as much, but certainly in the U.S., the culture is hurry, 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 rapid, rapid, rapid. Everything is time-oriented. And for me, I'm focusing more on what does my body say to do? What does my spirit say to do? You know, sometimes I'll stop, I'll just listen to the birds. Oh, that's so beautiful. Being like, how do we stay present in the moment? Mm-hmm. And, you know, especially, listen, I owned a PR agency for many years. I was all about planning, and I still plan ahead with my clients, and we work, you know, ahead 3, 6, 9 months. That's great. But I think in this every moment, it's important to see, how do I feel now? What do I need to do right now? How can I care for myself? Because I know that in caring for myself, I care for others. And I'm always fascinated. I have to tell you an interesting thing, because, you know, I work a lot with clients one-to-one, and I've noticed that if my energy's maybe a little low that day or something's a little off, and I call the client and I just, you know, tell the truth. Listen, I'm not at my best today, and I want to give you my best. Funny enough, they will often say, you know, I was feeling the same thing. I just didn't want to cancel. And I'm always fascinated by that. And I think it's a beautiful thing to honor oneself, because, again, you do take care of everyone. And I particularly think women have this issue, but I think our culture has this issue. And so that's been a big thing I learned, is I just got to watch the signs and the signals, because I was going too fast and I wasn't stopping enough, and I needed to stop and, you know, just honor what I needed to do in each moment much more. So I'm doing that much, and I'm doing much better at that.
Woohoo!
Yes, that's a major victory. It is.
It's mind-blowing, because reading both of these books and knowing a little bit of your background, you work with a lot of people that, to say it's go, 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 that's on their slowest days.
Yeah, and, you know, honestly, what I accomplish in a day, most people would accomplish in a week. I'm one of those. And my collaborators, colleagues, my coaches, my mentors are often those people too. But here's the truth. It's up to me to set my own rhythm and my way of being that feels right for me. So I always take the best of what all the best say, and then I do what's right for me in that time. But I'm always surrounding myself with the best of the best. And it is that thing about you rise with those you are with, and that you're coached by and that you're mentored by. So I absolutely choose the best. And I go to major masterminds where, you know, I'm one of the least accomplished people in the room sometimes. And it's wild to me. But I'll tell you the truth. Sometimes I wouldn't want the life that some of those people have. I wouldn't. And I'm, you know, it's always a choice, right? So I think choosing is important. What's important to you? I did do goals this year. I did. Yep. But funny enough, for a few years, I wasn't even doing goals. I went goalless. And I figured I would ride with the tide of life. And as one of my spiritual teachers says, because I'm also choose spiritual coaches also and mentors, you know, it's like, what inspires me? Now, Messages of Hope, the TV show, really inspired me. Then I did a conference in Los Angeles called, guess what, Messages of Hope. 120 people showed up.
Yay.
I mean, that's incredible.
Beautiful. Do you lead guided meditations?
Do I lead them?
Yes.
I don't lead them, but I do them, or I do my own 3-point meditation, I call it.
Can you tell us, can you share with us what the 3-point meditation is?
Yes. Well, one of my teachers, her name is Jan Sircone, and she taught me really a 3-point meditation, because let's face it, we're busy people. I'm a busy person. I'm excited to be busy. I'm a dynamic, kind of, you know, energetic, charged person, and I like that. That's why I also said I know I need to take care of myself too.
Yep.
So in that, I basically surround myself with angels and light. I like
Yay.
angels. So
I'm down with angels too.
Yes, down with angels, or whatever your guidance is. But I do always ask for my guidance, my angels, God, and anything you believe in to be present with me. And I bring in. I also put myself in a Merkaba and basically a triangle of sacred energy, so that it's only me and that energy. I then
what is a Merkaba?
Well, it's hard for me to describe it, but basically think of like a pyramid.
Yep.
And then do an upside down pyramid and have the two touch.
Okay, I can picture that.
That would be more like a Merkaba. But basically just put yourself in a holy tent, whatever works, works. And then I tend to bring down, at that point I set a sacred space, as I like to call it, and I bring down the angels and all the light, and I actually usually create an intention, a sacred intention. It varies. Sometimes it's about clients, sometimes it's about health, sometimes it's about inner peace, sometimes it's about clearing a pattern or a vibration that's going on in the moment, or bringing in more of something. Whatever it is that's needed in that moment. So I work with that energy, usually one thing, as much as I like to ask for more, but I try to focus on one thing. And then I bring the light down, and I usually picture a chalice up the top of my head, and I literally pour light into me from above. And I picture it as God's hand pouring it, and I pour it into my head and down through my whole body, space by space. I name the place where it's going, and I sometimes am doing this out loud verbally, sometimes just to myself, all the way down to my feet, and then circle it back up through the earth, and then up through the back of the body, each part, again, naming each part, all up through my neck, my head, and out the head, up to the universe, back to where it came from. At that point, I see it like plugging into the universe, literally. So I get plugged in, which I love. And God knows we all need a little charge every now and then, right?
Every day, yes.
every day. And at that point, when that's complete, and I might just sit in that energy for a moment, because usually there's quite a bit moving around, and I just let that mellow out and be with me. At that point, I surround myself with a golden egg, so that, again, that energy stays, and that my energy stays with me. One thing I've learned is because I'm out speaking, and I speak to thousands of people every single month, what I've noticed is if I'm not careful in a certain way about not protecting my energy, because at a certain level I don't know that I need that,
right?
But being what would be the word? Just watching my energy, right? And keeping my energy to me, and you keep your energy to you. And because I think I do consider myself a light worker and a light being, and people want some of that. And that's a beautiful thing, and I'm happy to share as much as I can, like an overflowing tank. But I've also noticed that I need some reserves for me. And
I can have shields up.
Yes, yeah, that's good. That's good. So that's my meditation. I do that as much as possible, definitely daily. And then I've been really doing some fun things lately about reprogramming and literally like putting in more love, more joy, more gratitude. Just really, what I'm realizing, and I know people all say it, and I think as we keep practicing it, more and more comes.
And the more that you give away. So let's go from there, and let's talk a little bit about this is actually, to me, the real exciting stuff. But let's talk a little bit about connections, and maybe we can have the whole thing flow together. I've got to ask, you're really, when it comes to connections, you're it. But my guess is that you didn't start that way.
No, I didn't start that way. And thank you. And it's interesting because I love to connect. It really does give me joy. It's, I'm sure, part of why I'm here on earth is to connect and to create connections for people. And I think that's really important. So it does give me joy. Not everybody's like that. A lot of people I work with, for example, are introverts. So nothing wrong with either one. It's all beautiful. And introverts need to have some skills for being out in the world, because the truth is you need to be out in the world. I mean, just generally. if you're in business, if you're out, no matter who you are, there's going to be a need to be out in the world at some point in some way. Even if you have to go to the grocery store and get groceries, you still smile at the cashier. It's a nice thing, you know?
Yep.
But no, I didn't start out that way. I started out like everybody else, an ordinary person who got inspired to write a book, and that became Guerrilla Publicity. I was blessed to work with J. Conrad Levinson, who was an incredible man who's now passed on, but he was the father of guerrilla marketing, which many people might have heard of. So after Guerrilla Publicity was born, and frankly, we did really good, of course, I got a lot of publicity. My publisher asked me what every author wants to hear, and that is, what's your next book? Mm-hmm. Well, I am the queen of connecting, and there's something that for me is very natural. I will naturally look to see how can I connect people, who's with who, what do they need, how can I put them together, and you know, Networking Magic, my next book, was actually born, and so that was really exciting. But I'm the kind of person, and let me give you a general practice that I have. Mm-hmm. You know, people say to practice a random act of kindness, and I would like you to practice a conscious act of kindness. Ooh. Yes. And so every day I look to see, you know, who can I help? What can I do to support someone? What, you know, can I send a friendly text? Yep. Can I say hello to someone, wish someone a happy birthday? One of my friends is going through a breakup right now. You know, I send her hearts and hands holding together, and you know, just to let people know you're thinking of them. And I think it's really important.
And it's also we had on recently Sean Acor. He has a book on happiness, and he talks about doing something like this first thing in the morning, 3, 4, or 5 acts, and how it changes your energy throughout the entire day. And I'm guessing by doing what you're doing here, the more you're sending out, the more you're getting back for your day as well.
Yes, and you know what? Sometimes I get nothing back, and truthfully, I don't expect anything back. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, the thing. Now, you know, I think it's also good to know where the expectations back and forth are. You know, here's a great example. Yeah. A woman called me to network with me because people know I'm a good networker. And she does similar things to what I do, helping people with publicity, but completely different. I talked to her 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. I've already gotten her 2 clients, 2 major referrals. Woohoo. Because I felt, you know, good about her, and I think she does the right things that my people need. So I'm always looking for great connections for others. How can I help them in ways that are right for them in their budget, in their needs, in their moment? It might be personal. You know, my one friend, her cat was like almost near death last week. Well, I got 4 cats. I get what that means, and I love my cats.
We got 2 here as well.
Oh, yay!
And they're in the other. They're in the other room. Real quick. My wife went out. She's the producer, and she went out. She left the kitty cat at home, obviously, and she plays. She said the computer's on because it's playing them birds chirping, and she goes, just make sure to shut off the birds chirping before the interview. And so I got ready for the interview. I'd shut it off. And the birds started again. They turned the computer back on.
I love that. Oh, I got to find that program. That would be fun. Send me the link.
Will do. So anyway, so 4 cats.
So 4 cats. And, you know, my friend's got a cat that's sick. And I remember on Saturday, I texted her and I'm like, are you okay? And she tends to be one of those kind of quiet, introverted types who will kind of go inward. And she said to me, I said to her, please come for a walk with me. And she did, which was great. I got her out in nature, which always helps. Just getting out in nature is good for anyone. She said to me, you know, I so appreciate the fact that you reach out and that you care and that you continue to reach out, even though sometimes maybe I'm not responsive or sometimes maybe I'm not as interactive. And it just touches my heart. And I think for me, that touches my heart. That, you know, I never realized people actually notice this because for me, it's natural. And I didn't actually realize it wasn't natural for most people. It really isn't.
How do we start to wire that so that just as regular as when you go to bed at night, you brush your teeth, that you start thinking of the other person, if not in each and every moment, then as frequently as possible.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is the conscious act of kindness every single day. So if I'm about to get in bed and I will reflect for a moment, did I do something? If not, I'm going to send off an email. I'm going to send a text, perhaps. Maybe I'll send it the next day, but at least I'll write one. And I'll do something so that that energy stays in motion. But I do think it has to become a regular. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm working on a next book. It's about kindness. Funny enough.
Woohoo!
Yes. And you know, it's interesting. I was about to do another business book, and in the business book, one of the chapter titles, my agent looked at that and she said, that's the book title, because it was about kindness. And here's what I'm seeing. Kindness in business is what's taking people further. They hear your voice, they feel your heart, they will listen to you in a way that's different. So I just say, put more heart in your business, put more heart in your life, lead with your heart, and let's see where that leads you.
I love that, because in the past it was always that, and I got an MBA back in the day, it was always that if you put your heart out there, your heart's going to get stomped. You need to keep your heart closed, put up the armor, dog world, and leave the wreckage behind you. But if you don't get yours, somebody else is going to get theirs.
Yeah, and you know what? That did work maybe in the 70s, 80s, maybe even the 90s. But I think this is a different time, Michael. And what I'm noticing is that people are more kind. I think, honestly, when U.S. got hit with New York's sad disaster, I think in this time of so many terrorist problems, and, it's kind of like, in a certain way, it's all we have is each other and our heart and our way to connect individually and as communities, then as countries, then as a whole humanity. Because you know what? I've traveled all over this world. We are not that different, any of us, regardless of religion and sex and preferences and anything else. We want mostly the same thing. And so as I've seen that, and I think it's really healthy to travel and to see other cultures and to eliminate maybe our beliefs about who people are. Because I just think the more and more we can do that, the quicker we're going to come together.
And I guess you would probably say, as a corollary, when you travel, it's not so much what you see as maybe who you meet?
Yes, and, listen, I've met people on the street, and I've met people, sitting on park benches, just watching other people on the street. And what I've noticed is it's all interesting, right? I mean, what you put out there is what you're going to receive. And so meeting people is essential to, I would tell you, the success of being a human being. I mean, what are we doing here, right? We are connecting with each other. We are making things happen, whatever that is, and whatever that means for you. We are parents, we are lovers, we are friends, we are whatever we are in our world. The question is, what are you doing to make your world as good as it can be?
And you'd say that would be a big part of that would be working to help others, bringing that kindness to them.
Well, it's interesting. In Networking Magic, we interviewed the best networkers across the country. Yep. Here's what I found. And maybe I should ask you, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what do you think? What the heck? Let's put you on the spot. Uh-oh. What do you think is the number one quality of a great networker?
Well, now you're leading the witness, and so I'm going to have to go with, of a great networker, listening. Listening
is actually one of the best traits, but let me tell you the biggest.
Okay.
Being a giver.
Yeah.
In other words,
makes sense.
Yeah. So when you walk in a room, the question is, how can I help? How can I give? Beautiful. Start asking that question. And then you know what happens? Everybody starts giving to you. I've been part of something called CEO Space for 15 years. You know about it?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, fabulous. We got to talk about that offline.
Okay.
Anyway, CEO Space is completely based on how you help each other. And it's a very collaborative environment where basically very high level people are walking around saying, how may I help you? How may I help you? Imagine how that feels. And then, of course, what are you doing? You're asking the same thing, but everyone's asking you. I go to a week there and make more connections and contacts and revenues than sometimes my whole year, just because people are so focused on how may I help you?
I love that. What a powerful, powerful question. It's something I try to do with the show, is
Yes.
always ask, how can I help? How can I help? And it's, it's interesting because that question, when you first put it out there, when you're not very well versed in it, you feel very vulnerable. Like, what's somebody going to ask of me if I really, because to ask it insincerely is like, that's like dropping a bomb. That's just bad news. But when you ask that sincerely at first, you really do feel vulnerable.
Well, here's the truth. I may not be able to help everybody with their request.
Yeah.
So one of the things we learned at CEO Space is to say, there we call it, I'll scout for you. In other words, I'll help look for the resource that you need. Right?
Beautiful.
And that's great. And you also may say, you know what, I can't help you in this moment, but perhaps I'll look for someone who might. Even that woman, just going back, who networked with me 2 days ago, in that moment, I said, do me a favor, send me your link, send me your services, let me see so I have you at hand. And then funny enough, literally the next day and today, 2 days in a row, each day she got a lead from me. Now, had she never reached out and called me, and by the way, she's fairly new in business, she's young, but she was smart enough to know to reach out to the right people and plug in the right way.
What are some early steps in beginning to build these connections?
So a couple of things I would do first. One is make a list of your, I call them advocates. That's actually a coach of mine calls it that. So I have 25 that every month I mail something to, send something to, so that we keep in touch. There's no expectation there. It's just a keep in touch strategy.
Okay.
So
and this is kind of your, could we call this a net or a network? I guess a network, obviously, but it can also be your net if you're not trying to build a business, for instance. This is the close connections that you have.
Close connections, good friends, because let's face it, even good friends, there's sometimes, time goes by and it goes by fast. So yes, I would recommend 25. If you want to do 10, but just start getting a list together and make sure that you cultivate that list and continue to connect with that list. That's really a key. Okay. So that's a good first step. Second, or first, depending on what you need, get out in your community. So if you're a business person, get out to networking events. Go to the Chamber of Commerce. What's great about Chamber of Commerce events is that there are all kinds of businesses, and there are people assigned at the front who are called ambassadors. It is their job to help you feel comfortable. So that is beautiful. If you're a mom, go to moms clubs and get involved in your kids' school. Go out and volunteer. Do something in your community so that you're getting out and you're engaging and meeting people. So those are two really good first steps.
Beautiful. It's interesting. We had on a guest last week, Chris Martinson, and he has books on economic crash potentially coming and what to do if it does occur. And he talks about what real wealth is. And one of his definitions of real wealth, I guess there are 8 different ones, or one of his parameters, is social wealth.
Yes.
And that is the community that you build, not just on the web, not just through Facebook, but literally right outside your door. Yeah,
very important, and a beautiful way, right outside your door, literally your neighbors. Do you know your neighbors? I mean, it is shocking. So many of us really don't.
What is a nearest and dearest list?
Well, for me now I call it the advocates list, but okay. it is those that are close to you that would wave the white flag going, hire Michael, you got to talk to him, you got to be on his show, you got to help him spread the word about the show. And people who are willing to do for you, willing to advocate for you, and or just really love you because they see who you are. I think it's beautiful to be seen for who we are.
Mm-hmm. Would you say, I heard an expression by another guest recently, give till it hurts and it doesn't hurt anymore.
Well, that's interesting. I find that giving never hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It usually gives back. It usually fills you up. It usually opens your heart. So if it's hurting, it may not be your best way of giving. That would be my opinion.
Yeah.
So I say, do what you're inspired to do. Beautiful. And give where you're inspired to give. So, for instance, let me just share with you. I told you I speak. So I spoke at this professional women's group. Great group of women, kind of low key, but those were very high level people. They work mostly in corporate. Mm-hmm. And I gave away a 30-minute consultation as a gift, as a raffle prize. And this woman won it. So who won it? I love this. The woman who won it is on disability, but she's like a very talented artist, very talented. And so we did our 30-minute, and she basically told me that she had no money to invest in her business. Like, I do publicity courses. There was nothing else she could do with me, right? Even though I gave her quite a bit of very good ideas and productive things to do immediately. Yeah. And at the end of the call, I just, got a message, and I listen to my inner voice, and I'm very intuitive, and I listen. That's the important part. That's the listening part. And something said, you know what, give her the publicity course as a gift. And so I said, you know what, I'm doing my publicity course in San Francisco in March. Mm-hmm. You're going to be my guest. And she was like, she just broke into tears. It certainly wasn't anything she expected. I didn't come to the call anticipating to give that to her. Mm-hmm. But I know to listen. And when God puts a little message in my ear, I always listen. That to me is the places where we give and we give and we give. And, truthfully, I don't even know if my class is going to fill for March. But I know that by giving her, let me just say, it may be 10, it may be 20, it may be 30 people. They're always intimate. Mm-hmm. But even if it's 10 and she's one of them and I gave her the seat for free, that for me is a blessing.
That's got to feel good.
Yes, it does. It feels great.
It's also interesting because it's something that you talk about in your book about really being there for others and not really having so much of an agenda. Like, if I give this to them, I'm going to get something back. It seems real important to slow down, breathe deep, and do this without having I need to get something from it. Yeah,
and okay, so here's the deal. You do certain things because you're just giving, right? Mm-hmm. And then other things, for instance, I have referral fees set up with some people. I do. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're business people that we trade business back and forth with. It's a beautiful thing. So that I might be giving someone a referral, mm-hmm. But it's not because I get a fee. It's because they're the right match. And I know that. Now, will I get something from that? Yes, that's a beautiful thing. But I think it's a smart business practice to have commissions in place and referral fee structures in place, or at least ask the question. And then there's just plain, like you're going to have a seat in my publicity course because it's the right thing to do because I want to help you. And there's, nothing in return.
That makes perfect sense. So for people who are listening to this, we gave an intro talking about connections and the importance of connections. Can that be overstated for people who aren't, for instance, because I have a lot of people who are listening and I want them to check out Guerrilla Publicity and I want them to check out your books on networking because you have no idea just how powerful of a tool this is. But what about for people who aren't trying to necessarily promote a business or have a regular job?
So here's the thing. When you walk out your door, mm-hmm. you're public, right? And how you are is people are judging you. They're seeing you, whether it's your neighbors, whether it's getting coffee next door at the local Starbucks. You're still out in the public. If you've got a job, listen, I coached a guy from Hewlett Packard mm-hmm. because he wasn't getting a promotion. And I remember in the session, he said, I don't think people like me. How can I be more well-liked? Well, that's a good question to ask. I think that's a great question to ask. So the truth is, networking is essential. Let's be honest. When's the last time, and I bet everybody listening and watching probably has at least one time where they've said to somebody, hey, have you seen a great movie lately? Who's a good dentist? Hey, do you know who's a good doctor? Where should I go shopping? Hey, where'd you get that great top you're wearing? I'd love to get one. Can I just tell you, that's all networking. That's all networking. Everything from what's a good movie to where should I shop to where do you take your animals for a good vet? People ask questions. They want to know what they want to have the best, so to speak. And I think people do it much more naturally than they probably realize. And that's called networking.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then for people who are entrepreneurs, who are listening to the show, who are go-getters, who are trying to build something. In fact, let's go guerrilla publicity for a minute here. For a real brief minute, people who are small to medium businesses on a shoestring budget who want to get their name out there, where do they start? What do they do?
So besides reading my book, Guerrilla Publicity, definitely do that, please. I want you to start with a message. What's your message? And it's not like, oh, I'm a great, fill in the blank, but really, how does what you do impact, affect, and serve others? Here we come back again, because what the media wants are resources, and what the media needs are people like you to interview. So we need you to have a great message, and you need to solve problems out in the world. And what I find that's really helpful that the media loves is have a great statistic for what you do. So, for instance, when I work with a financial planner, we talk about the fact that 67% of Americans are going to be broke by the time they reach 60. That's kind of scary.
Definitely.
And how can we help them, right? So take a look at what you do and then find a way that what you do solves others' problems.
Should we all have a soundbite, and what is a soundbite?
Yes, you should absolutely have a soundbite. Bite of sound. Yes, you must have a soundbite. So, for instance, let me give you just a little bit of what I might say if I'm at a networking event.
Okay.
Or when I'm in a media interview, which is like one of those high content, tell us what to do now. So I would say, 4 out of 5 businesses are going to go out of business because they have no clue how to create publicity without spending a fortune. And then I would say, I want to give you 3 guerrilla publicity tips for how to get your business in the media. And by the way, take notes if you're in business. So the first way to get noticed is to create your ooh, ah factor. That's a soundbite. The second way is to create the I've heard of you somewhere syndrome. That's a soundbite, right? And the third way is to focus on networking magic and show up in your communities at least twice a month for name and face recognition. All sound bites, by the way, very simple if you notice, 5-year-old language, right? I don't make it complicated. I don't want it hard to understand. Just keep it really, really simple.
And you can find out about all of this in her books, but now you've drawn me in, ooh and ah.
Yes. Isn't that fun? See, I drew you in because I gave you a sound bite. So with sound bites in particular, I want you to think about it's an appetizer, not a full meal. And ooh, ah factors are about the story about you, right? What's your story? You told me you had near-death experiences. I started going ooh and ah. I wanted to know more. I told you I had an accident where I fractured my ankles and couldn't walk for 5 months. That's an ooh, ah factor, part of what makes me unique and unusual.
I go ooh, ah, and ouch.
Yeah, ooh, ah, and ouch, exactly. So what is it about you that makes other people go ooh and ah, something special, something unique, something unusual, something that's different than perhaps your business, or it could be actually what got you into business, or it could be something entirely personal.
Do you have, you talk about really, it's really coming from a heart in so many of these things. Even that is coming from a heart and being able to share something succinctly with people. When you first meet people, or do you teach people when they first meet people how to, what to say or how to remember something special, or what to do to make an impression and to soak in the other person so you remember them from that first get-go moment?
Well, a couple things. One is I write on their cards. I mean, I see nothing wrong with that. And I write little notes for myself. I keep databases. I definitely, if they said something that sparked a way I could help them, I'll write a little note and then I'll follow up with them. I can't follow through with everyone, Michael. I mean, I just can't, due to the nature of how many people I'm seeing every single month and working with my clients and teaching publicity courses. And it's an and. I'm still in that moment with that person. And I will say, is there something I may help you with? How could I help you? It does amaze me how many people don't know what could help them. That amazes me. And sometimes the right answer is, thank you for asking. I don't know right in this moment, but if you would circle back with me, or may I circle back with you to tell you. Actually, don't ask them to circle back with you. You don't want to make people work. You circle back with them and let them know. So that's a beautiful thing. But I would tell you, the biggest thing is come to the room with how may I help?
I love it. A few questions as we begin to wrap this up. Jessica always likes me to ask about kids. And are there any recommendations you give for kids for learning how to connect better?
Well, I think being a model for your children on service is really good. I notice my friends with kids who have and actually go in service with them. Like one of my friends goes to the food bank and spoons out food with her kids, and then does it on Thanksgiving, does it on Christmas, does it on holidays where most people are sitting around watching football, right? Or hanging out, drinking with each other, whatever it is. But she takes her kids and shows them what service is like. So I think that's really helpful, being a good model. And having a way that your children are serving in the house, giving them a good model for them, show them, give them the what to say, how to speak. So there's a young woman I'm a bit of a big sister to. She's 11 now. She's already written 4 books, by the way. I'm like, I got to catch up with you.
She's 11 and written 4 books.
Yes, they're about her.
You go, girl.
I'm telling you, they're about her animals. And I think she's a superstar. I really do. I completely see the fact that she's a superstar. Meanwhile, Ellen DeGeneres contacted her, found out about her some way, asked her to be on the show, and she said no, because she was too shy, because she was scared of what the other kids would think about her. Isn't that interesting? So kids have a lot around social stigma and what do they think about me. And I think, again, if you just model for your kids and then help them with scripts, help them with coming out of their shell, their maybe shyness, and just, have good discussions with them, I think that would make a good difference.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And another question we like to ask just before the end is, what brings you the greatest happiness, or what we call the woohoo factor?
Oh, by the way, I have an 82-year-old friend. I take her out a lot. We're very dear friends. She can't quite walk as much anymore, but that's what she does. She goes, woohoo! She's excited. So
I love it. Send her my love.
You remind me of her when you say that. So for me, nature gives me incredible joy, just great beauty and outdoors. Laying in bed and cuddling with my cats gives me great joy. It makes me so happy. I'm like, really? This makes me so happy. And serving my clients in ways where the light bulbs go on and they shine more and they're able to take their message out into the world, that makes me really happy.
Beautiful. Where can people go to find out more and to find your books, your programs, everything? Sure.
Well, I've prepared a free gift for your people because I always think knowing more about publicity is a good thing. So check out publicitycrashcourse.com/free gift. Okay, you can go there. Maybe you can put it up on the notes, would be great. Thank you. And then go and check out my website, JillLublin.com. Lots of L's in there, and he'll put the notes on, I'm sure, JillLublin.com. And if you want to just call me and talk to me and see how I might help you, just call me. And I'm going to give you my number right now, which is 415-883-5455. So I'd love to hear from you and see how I might help you.
Beautiful. And if you didn't catch that, you're driving down the road. Jill's right. We're going to have that on inspirenationshow.com. We'll have all the information. We'll have all the links. We'll have the phone number as well and the link to get you over to the free gift. I've got to ask, any more words of related to kindness that you'd like to share with people?
Well, I think the biggest thing is I really want to remind people to practice the conscious act of kindness every day, not the random act, but the conscious act of kindness every day. And simple things make all the difference. I was taking a walk earlier today, and I saw this woman trying to get this fan up. I could see she's climbing a ladder in her garage, and I'm thinking, uh-oh. And I just went up and I said, listen, do you need some help? And I think she was like a bit surprised. Wow, somebody stopped on their walk and asked. Simple things that make a big difference, that are just nice things to do. I think it's time to go back to kindness, and kindness is what will make our world truly a better place in each moment. Being more kind. Please work on it.
Woohoo!
Yay, woohoo!
Wow, I don't know. I guess I've got to ask. It's the way to go, but this has been so beautiful. Any last words of wisdom that you want to share with people?
Oh, well, first of all, I thank you for being who you are and putting your heart in the world and your great wisdom and all the people you feature. So thank you for what you do and the work you do in the world. I appreciate that.
And as well.
Oh, thank you. And I really think the biggest thing that I see is focus on your message. What is it you want to leave people with? What do you want to leave people feeling? Mm-hmm. And what do you want them to know about you? That's your message. And here's the biggest thing. Your message matters. Your message matters.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that is a mighty woohoo!
Woohoo!
So thank you so much, Jill. Thank you so much. For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, focus on your message and your heart. Focus on that kindness and shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!